You seem hungry. Good thing your table is ready with Saturday Omaha.
Saturday Omaha.
Eat this.
Hey, this is Dave with Saturday Omaha, and we are here on another episode of our Food Recognized Food format where we talk to people in and around the restaurant industry. And I am fortunate enough to be sitting in KIOS studios at the moment. There's some construction happening in the background, but we're just going to pretend it's very large termites if you hear anything. And so we'll make sure to stomp on them as needed. But more importantly, I am sitting here with Chef Paul Urban of Block 16, a perennial Omaha favorite. Paul, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Thanks so much for having me on.
Longtime listeners of the show may recall that you and I and Jess Urban of also Block 16 had a very nice conversation a long time ago. I think you guys were actually my very first guests on, getting to know the people in the community of the Omaha area restaurant vibe and associated food producing areas. And so so that was very cool. I'm so glad to have you back on.
Thanks for having me. I'm sorry Jess couldn't make it, and she's super bummed, but she got arrested today, so she's in jail. We'll get her out tomorrow.
That sounds good. Can I get in on the breakout plan on that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Well, right after this, I figured we'd go, and I need help with the kids tonight, so we'll get her out.
That sounds good. I have to ask, from our last conversation, have you stepped in any bowls of menudo since we talked last? That's an important question.
I'm positive I have. I'm positive. Yes. I still am a big menudo fan. I still like to eat late night, and I still have some embarrassing moments, so yeah.
Good. Embarrassing moments with food are fun. So this is
it's my specialty.
I also have to thank you because since then you had turned me on to Tix Teco. Because we had talked about that. My goodness, between that and I guess laterally La Poblanita is pretty close there. So you get two totally different types of mole within like a 2-block area.
Right.
And then Tix Teco with the quesadilla masa and all the other things they have is just such a great stop,
so
man.
Good.
Yeah.
There's the new place right behind us, too. They took over the old Oasis spot.
Oh, yeah, Italy, right?
Thank you, yes. Because I'm always nervous that I'm not pronouncing it properly, but wow, man, like we went over there just to be neighborly and buy a whole bunch of stuff for, staff meal, and we were all texting later that night, like, did you try this? Like, we have to go back. It's so good. It's so good, and it's so close.
I haven't been to the brick and mortar yet, but I had been to the food truck a few times when they were on 13th and Little Bohemia there, and I love the fact that they're doing those fresh pressed tortillas. I mean, even in the truck, he's got the the wood press up there, and he's got that. I think he put some like beet juice or something in with the masa to make them red, and you get that like red tortilla.
Yeah, I was wondering how he was doing that. And I had never been to the food truck, but I kept hearing all about it, and then we saw the sign go up after Oasis closed down, and I was like, oh man, this is cool. So,
what did you? Just because I'm nosy now, do you remember what you tried when you ordered from there?
Well, it was on a Saturday night. So we had it was like 15 of us. So we ordered, pretty much the whole menu. It was just like, well, give me 5 of these, 5 of these, 5 of these. Better give me 10 of those. How big are these? Okay, 12 of those. You know what I mean? It was just like we just ate, and I think I took a bunch home and ate it for like 3 days, and it was even great reheated, which is tough with fresh pressed tortillas and all. It's so good.
That's fantastic. So still some moisture in there post reheat.
Yes,
that's so cool, man. That's such a great spot, and that's cool. I'm glad because I was sorry to see Oasis go.
Man, we all were. Yeah. It was a bummer.
Yeah, no easy downtown hummus. Although Kitchen Table makes a pretty good hummus down there too. But still, it was nice to get everything there and get your falafel. But good that somebody had an opportunity to turn a food truck into a brick and mortar. So that's
exactly.
So very, very cool. Very, very cool. Well, so I mean, things are always happening at Block 16. Let's see. Since last we talked, probably a litany of things. Burger fight happened many moons ago.
Yeah.
Let's see. A car ran into the front of the restaurant. So there was that.
That was our third window. That window we've replaced 3 times now. It's been shot out. It's been smashed out, and now it was hit by a car. Which thank God nobody was hurt. So
right. Oh jeez. And that same day, didn't another car roll backwards or something else happened that day?
That was the car. That's what was so crazy. We were working and nobody was in the restaurant. It was over flip before, and we just heard it sounded like a bomb went off. And we all looked up, and this car had like smashed into the window and was slowly like rolling away. We ran out to see what was going on, and we go out there. There's nobody in the car, and we're like, "Oh, geez, what the what is going on?" There's a screwdriver laying on the ground, and it was this whole like it was like an acid trip. It was bizarre, man.
Stuff happening.
Yeah, and so we called the police, and like the door was locked. The driver's door was locked. There's no one in it, and we're like, "What the?" And we checked the other doors, and the passenger door was open.
Yeah.
And what we kind of figured, it ended up being one of the guys that lives upstairs. Really nice guy.
Yeah.
He had his car parked up the street facing west, and we think that somebody tried to steal it from the passenger side.
Yeah.
And they bumped it into neutral and got scared and ran away. And it like we have these 2 spots out front that the city lets us use for curbside pickup.
Yeah.
People always park there, and they'll park there for like a week. And it's so frustrating. This was the one time nobody was parked there. And of course, this car just rolled perfectly, smashed right into the window, and then bounced away. It was just like, you can't make that up, you know?
Oh my
Like 20 minutes before we open, and we're all out there with brooms, and, you know, it's just like,
Glass makes such a horrible mess, too. Yeah. It's like, it sounds like you guys need some of that, like bulletproof plastic, a Lexan, window in there, so the cars just kind of bounce back off.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, or like a trampoline. See how far we can shoot back.
So Jenny Coco was working down there with you guys for a while, and at this point, right, she just is head chef at Country Club out west now?
Yeah, the Champions Club. Yeah, really nice place. Yeah,
that's awesome.
It was crazy. You know, because she's a little bit older than me. So I grew up like her and Glenn Wheeler and Michael Rhodes. These are all like my heroes. You know what I mean? And it was like, man, if I could ever like meet Jenny Coco, or I could like go work for Jenny Coco, that would just be everything, you know, not to mention the fact that she came up in a time where it's harder, whether anyone wants to argue it or not, it's harder to be a woman in this industry. It's just, you're not given the same breaks. And I've watched it. Jess and I have come up together, and I could give you 1,000 examples, but when Jenny was doing it, it was even harder.
Oh my goodness.
And so like, she has always been so impressive. And our old house used to be like 3 doors down from her restaurant. So we really got to know her, because we'd walk our dogs and our kids past there, and she'd always come out, and, you know, we'd just chat, and we got to be pretty good friends. And we, right in the middle of the pandemic, when everyone was kind of finding new jobs, and, you know, we had, at least 10 employees that had been with us for 7 or 8 years that all moved on. Like, we fought so hard to keep everyone during the pandemic. And then, you know, the opportunities came up, and they were moving on to really cool things. A lot of them, you know, moved out of state and started a whole new career. Our one guy, Octavio, is now running the brigade system with one of the guys that started Noma. He's in Colorado, and they're doing all from scratch school lunch programs. And it's
how
like,
fun.
How can you be mad at anyone? You know what I mean? But they all left, and then we couldn't get anyone to even show up for an interview. I mean, there was a point, this is 100% true. Over 2 years, we had around 300 people apply at Block 16. They went out of there. I want a job. Every single one of them. I didn't care at that. Like, we just bring them in. Yes. Yeah. What time do you want to come in? 280 of them never showed up for their interview. 280. Whoa. Yeah. So we were just like, we had gotten to the point where I was like, Jess and I had serious conversations. Like, do we cut it down to maybe 3 menu items? And, you know, you and I just run the kitchen every day. And then we just, you know, like, cause it was getting to that point, and there was, you know, nothing you can really do, man. We're paying the most we can. We're, you know, and, so then when Jenny came along, I had said something on Facebook, like, you know, like, I had made a joke, like, of course, about, hey, no one showed up again today. Yeah, like, yeah. And Jenny Coco was just like randomly like, all right, I'm in, I'll be there. And I was like, oh man, is she like a day drinker or something? Like, she's got it. There's no way. And sure enough, like, text me 2 days later, and she's like, when can I start? What can I do? And I mean, this is one of the most accomplished chefs in all of Omaha.
Yeah.
She did as many dishes as anybody else. She showed up every day, and it was literally like, what do you want me to do? You want me to scrub the toilets? Do you want me to make soup? Do you want me to do that? Like, it was crazy. Gosh. And so we were just like, if we can have her for a week,
Yeah.
awesome. If we can have her for a month, awesome. And she didn't really know. She was coming off of her restaurant closing under, not great circumstances, and everyone hated to see it go. It was
Right.
a gem. And so she was just like, man, I don't know how long I want to be here. I don't know, how much I can commit to. And we were like, perfect. Let's just let it roll.
Yeah.
See what happens. She was with us for a year, and she came and was like, I got this opportunity and I can't pass it up. And we're like, yeah, you definitely can't. So now we're like, if only we could afford to belong to a country club so we could come see you. But, we still keep in touch and chat all the time. So.
Yeah, I saw something about you raising the price of like the poutine burrito by like 3,000%.
Yeah, it'd have to be a lot.
Yeah,
I've seen the rates to get out there, and I don't golf, so.
The only golfing I really do involves windmills, alligators, and volcanoes, possibly.
Yes,
But,
yeah. Pirate putt in Council Bluffs.
absolutely.
Spot, yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Which is great, yeah.
For sure. Often on this show, I've talked about the Omaha restaurant community just continually lifts each other up.
Yes.
When Tired Texan, they had a fire over there, and I know that at least one or two or maybe more other restaurants, barbecue places. So theoretically, a competitor reached out and said, "Can we help you? Do you need to borrow my smoker? Right? Do you need this thing?" Or we had floods a number of years ago. And I know there were restaurants out there just serving free meals for anybody that needed it.
Right.
Or like in this case, Jenny's like, sure, how can I help out?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just incredible. And I truly believe that most of our local spots would probably give you their shirt off their back if you needed a shirt. I mean, I really do.
Yeah, it's definitely turned that way. And it wasn't that way when I was a kid. It was like, you work here, you eat here, you don't talk nicely about our competition. And now it really, we did a fundraiser for my cousin had a baby. Gosh, I think it was 4 years ago now that we did this, but little Presley was born with SMA, which is I don't want to talk too much about it because I'll probably say something wrong, but it's a horrible degenerative disease that up until very recently your life expectancy was 2 years old.
Oh my gosh.
And now they have medication that is showing that these kids can live like a long life, hopefully a very full life.
Yeah.
But of course the medication is absolutely insane.
Sure.
And so we were like, man, let's do a fundraiser because her shot's coming up, and I'm talking like several, like tens of thousands of dollars per shot.
Oh my
it's
gosh.
insane. So we were like, well, let's do this event. We'll call a couple friends, and we're going to do smoked meats, and we'll call it Smoking Out SMA for Presley.
Yeah.
So we had like 3 friends, and we were like, well, let's cook. We'll sell as many tickets as we can. Jeff Katurba donated a bunch of his artwork, and like we had raffles. I mean, it was all awesome. But then it was like, we're about a month out, and Dan Watts, who's like the barbecue master, one of the barbecue masters of Omaha. He's running all the like backlot tap house.
Oh, the
movie theater
pizza.
and all that.
Yeah.
So he's doing all of that, but the guy is like the master of the smoker. He reached out and was like, "What? How can I help?" Like I think he was at Cisco at the time, and then Wayne Dingus. I hadn't talked to him.
Smoke and Barrel.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we went to culinary school together and had lost touch, and I just didn't bother anyone. He reached out and was like, "Hey man, I got 25 briskets. I want to donate them. I'll smoke them. I'll show up." And I mean, it was great. Jenny Coco, all these people just showed up. Glenn Wheeler, Mike Rhodes, it was all, and we raised over $40,000, and no one asked for a single thing.
That's so cool.
They just showed up. They worked. We're in debt to all. David Utterback made some stuff. It was Ben Maids. It was just like this like local culinary rock star community just smoking meat, and it was so cool, man. What a cool cause. It helped them get their house, which had to be completely like accessible, wheelchair accessible. So the doors are wider, the hallways are wide. Everything's expensive. I can't even imagine, so
Right.
It was the highlight of, I think, my entire life that we were able to help in this manner, and that so many people just showed up and they were like, what do we do?
Yeah.
I still get chills thinking about it. So yeah, it's a great community.
I get the feeling anyway that, most folks in the service hospitality industry, a lot of it is, I've made this food for you to nourish you, for you to enjoy, and to see that smile on somebody's face is probably a lot of the ultimate reward there. And then to be able to use that as a vehicle then to help more people, or to help, some little one out that might not otherwise have a great chance.
Right.
And you just ramp that up and may have literally saved a life there, you know, and help things out and then to have just the community come together to help you do that is beautiful.
Beautiful. Yeah. Especially, I mean, a lot of it we didn't even ask because we didn't want to bother people. And
Sure.
so the fact that people were just like, yeah, we're in, what do we do?
Yeah.
And really cool. Really
That's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you and Jess and the kiddos bumped into you guys at Via Farina. So
Right.
John Ray down there was doing the annual clothing drive.
Yep.
And so that was cool. So not only did you have a restaurant, in this case Via, trying to help out the community, get people some warm clothes, and then there's other restaurant owners and folks stopping by to help out yet that effort.
Right.
So,
Well, the Muchachos was there. That's a pretty good draw
right.
too. It was like,
Oh my gosh.
look at all this food we can come get and
Yeah.
and donate. So it was win-win.
I'm glad you brought up Muchachos because Nick was I think he was only selling nachos. I think it was like $4 or something. It was just ridiculously cheap, and he's helping out with this drive, and I get this box of nachos, and it had to weigh like 3 or 4 pounds.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh,
sounds
man!
about right, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
feeding hearts and souls there. That's right. And of course, Muchachos, as we are speaking now, open in Little Bohemia, so we got a brand new place. And
So cool.
That's
If that
awesome.
guy wasn't a Red Sox fan, I think we'd be best friends. I really do. He's great. We message. We've never hung out, but we'll message back and forth on social media. And
Yeah.
he's a solid guy, man. He really is, and with a great product.
Yeah.
We first met him. Oh man, it was like 6 years ago. He catered my birthday party. Jessica found him on like Instagram and was
so
like,
cool.
and he only had his one truck at the time. And I mean, I remember when he got it there, he's like, man, I only have 3 tires and the exhaust went out. And so I've been breathing in carbon monoxide, but I made it. And then he showed up and like served all this amazing food. Yeah. Just cool guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
No small achievement. You and Jess were nominated for a James Beard Award.
Yes.
So for those that don't know that are listening to this, these are like the Oscars, the Emmys of being in the restaurant industry, and a huge, awesome thing for Omaha in general, and even more so for Block 16 and you and Jess. So tell me about that. It's so cool.
It was crazy. It was just crazy. Like I don't know. I think when we opened Block 16, it was not. I think we've talked about this before. Our intention was not to open a quick casual restaurant. We were doing a gastropub, a little bit of fine dining, and then this all happened, and we kind of went with the flow, and we're loving it, and we have no regrets, and we just love it. But then you look at stuff like the James Beard and the Michelin star and all that, and you're like, okay, well, all that's probably out the window. We don't, have a great wine list and blah blah blah. So the fact that like we could hit that, it was mind blowing. And we were doing an interview for Milford magazine. They had come in and they were doing a little story on us.
Yeah.
And I'm not big into getting my picture taken. If you ever see us, it's usually like Jessica has the best smile on the planet. That's just a fact. And then I just don't smile because I get nervous. I don't love it. But we were like in mid-interview when my phone started to go off, and it was Tim Nicholson from the Boiler Room, and he's like, "Dude, you guys are James Beard nominees." And so if you look at all the pictures in that magazine, we're just beaming, and I'm like bright red, and
Nice.
we couldn't even believe it. I thought he was like playing a prank on us at first, and
Yeah.
so we didn't move past the first round, but Dave Utterback did, who honestly, man, that guy, he deserves way more than just a James Beard Award. I mean, we just did his omakase
Oh yeah.
like a month or so ago, and we've done that in New York and Paris. We've done it right, and I've never had anything like it. That guy he's so skilled and just
fantastic.
like he's a natural. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's it's just so cool the things that he's producing right there in Benson.
Yeah.
And then he's always flying back to Japan. Like he's researching his craft
Right.
continuously and just all in and invested in it, and just super cool.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
super
just
cool.
a good guy all the way around.
For
You know,
sure. Yeah, absolutely. And then I have not made it out to Koji yet at his other
man.
spot. So
You got to get the KFC bun. It's a Korean fried chicken steam bun.
yeah.
You got to get everything on the menu.
Sure.
But that, like, Jess and I went one time. We had a quick date night, and that was one of the things that we ate that night. And I was like, man, next time we come back here, I'm just going to get 30 of those, and we'll call it good.
What I love about Block is you guys are always doing something fun. If folks out there aren't already following your social media, just to look at either the daily specials or random funny quips, depending on which social channel you're on.
Right. Yeah.
It's just always good. And I think you guys have such a good sense of humor, a good sense of community. You did the YouTube series a while back on reading like 1-star reviews and those kind of things. And just
it's a
hilarious.
fine line, that's for sure. I've gotten us into some trouble before. There's always five that are upset. And it's like, man, like, it's a bummer because I've never posted anything maliciously. But then, like, Jessica is always quick to remind me. She's like, people don't know you. So when you're like, hey, like, I said something about, like, Berkshire holders the other day. And I was totally just like, oh, haha. And then, the other problem is I'll post something and then I work. And then I go home and I'm not on my phone, man. I'm with my kids and we'll go fishing and camping. And then I wake up in the morning, I go to post a special and I'm like, why are all these people mad at me? And there's like 5 people that are like arguing back and forth. And they're like, how dare you post something like this? Look, they don't even have the backbone to answer me. And I'm like, no, I'm just not on my phone 24 hours a day. Like I'm camping with my kids. So it's a fine line. And I hate seeing people upset with us. Even when you post something and like, okay, you're that person, like you're mad probably all the time.
Right.
But I still don't like it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You have 1,000 people that are like, oh, this is so funny. It's that one or two that's like, you're a real jerk. You're like, oh man, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think. But yeah, we try and have fun. So
well, and hopefully, if anybody's listening to this, obviously, getting to know you has been absolutely wonderful. And you're just a cool, positive guy that wants to make great food, has a lot of heart. And really your family, both your personal nuclear family and your restaurant family, you care for them. And so yeah, if you're seeing posts out there, it's okay. It's lighthearted. It's all right.
You hear that 1-star Google people? Come on.
What else is happening at the restaurant besides just being awesome?
Well, thank you. Yeah, we just won the Travel and Tourism Award, which was it was awesome. And I think like the best part of it was that they were like, well, we're going to film a video, and what we want you to do is present the award to one of your staff members. And as much trouble as we went through, we lost, like I said, 90% of our staff, our longtime staff, and then it was just so hard to replace them and to bring them in. The crew we have right now is 100% the best crew we've ever had. I mean, I'm barely up on the line anymore. And we've got these guys, and I can't start dropping names because I would forget someone, but we've got, Wyatt Kasalka is one of them that he runs that line, and he will run it more efficiently than I ever have, which is saying a lot because it's my restaurant and Jess's restaurant, and we're very organized and good at that kind of stuff. But man, Wyatt's up there, and it's just like, I'm always running out there. What are your ticket times? Because there's a line down the street, and he's like, oh, this one's 4 minutes. This one's 7 minutes. This one's 4 minutes. And you're just like, wow. And so we've got this staff that is just like mind blowing. And it's like, they're so good that we're almost like nervous to come in every day because we're like, is somebody going to quit?
Oh,
like,
you know what I mean? Don't want to
like,
disrupt the flow.
Yeah, they're so good. And so it was cool because we were like, well, we can't just present it to one person. So they let our whole staff come on, and we did the video, and it was so yeah, that's happening. We've got a killer crew, and we've moved out to the farm since we last talked just a few years ago, and we've put a lot into that. I think that has kind of turned into, everyone has been asking us for like 10 years, like, what's next? What's your next restaurant? Are you going to do? And we're always looking. And I think that the farm has kind of turned into our next thing that we're really focusing on, because it's mostly for our children and for our lifestyle, and for, it's for them. That's it. But it's also going to be this really cool extension of Block 16. Jessica just built pretty much by herself. I mean, I helped haul wood and stuff, but her and our great friend that was our old neighbor, Pat Wortman, have built this geothermal greenhouse out there. And so it takes air from the outside. It runs it underground. I believe it's 10 feet.
Okay.
And about 250 yards of tubing. And then it heats it and then blows it into the greenhouse. And so the greenhouse is actually underground. We had to have this huge pit dug.
Yeah, I saw some pictures there. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's crazy, but it's almost 100% self-sufficient because you don't require much energy. It's like something like 3 cents a day to power it.
Oh my gosh.
And so we'll be able to grow a lot of our own food. And, we've got pigs right now that we've talked to Wayne Dingus about doing and Blaine Hunter as well about doing a farm dinner.
Yeah.
We have these really cool pigs that we actually got from Ben Maids of Eau Courant.
Oh my gosh.
Because he's got a killer farm out.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He did it right before us. He was like the one that was like kind of inspired us to make the jump because we were a little bit nervous.
Sure.
And yeah, so he was raising these specialty pigs. They're called coonies, and I think they're the only pasture pigs. So they free range and they eat grass, and they're really cute.
Yeah.
They don't get quite as big. They're incredibly annoying, but they're cute.
Yeah.
And so he bred his and had a bunch of piglets, and we got 4 of them, and now they're here, and they're gonna have an awesome life until we're gonna let them stay around, but we eventually will process them and do some kind of fun farm dinner with them. So
tell me a little bit more about the greenhouse. So what was the step that you're like, yeah, we're going to do this? Like
it was Jessica. She's just like,
nice.
There's so many things. It sounds like I'm kissing her butt, but there's so many things that I love about this woman. But honestly, my favorite thing, her entire family is notorious for this, that they think outside of the box.
Nice.
And it's half the time I look at her and I'm like, what are you talking about? Because I'll be like, okay, we have no staff and no food. We can't open today. And she'll be like, well, what if we did this? And it's crazy and it might not work, but a lot of times, most times it does. And so, she was like, I want to build a greenhouse. I want to make sure that we can't use the soil that we've got there. So we've got to bring in soil dynamics. We're going to amend the soil. And then that way we know our kids are eating clean. We'll be able to produce everything we need for the restaurant. It was this whole thing. And then next thing I knew, it was like a week later and there's a giant crane or a giant digger in our yard.
Is Jess out there on the equipment digging holes?
Yeah. No, she hired out for it, and thank goodness. And
she got a license for that stuff when you weren't looking. She's like, well, actually, I've been going to night school for high construction equipment.
Right. Yeah. So it just kind of started, and now it's almost done. It was a lot more work than we initially thought, but between her and Pat, man, it's close. I mean, we've already grown a few things here and there just for the kids to eat, but the kids already dug them all up and ate it all. So,
how big is it roughly?
It's 17 feet tall.
Okay.
48 feet long, 20 feet wide, maybe. It's pretty large.
Yeah, it's pretty good size.
It's good size,
especially when you talk about that. Yeah, 48 feet, and then from the pictures that I saw, so there's a larger trench that was dug.
Yep.
And that was put down there. And with the geothermal, is that just because the ground so far down just never freezes and stays a little bit warmer, or how are you able to get that heat or keep the electricity cost down so low? How does that work out?
You get down to a certain point in the earth and there's pockets where and with this one, I think it's like 55 degrees. And so we have the tubes stick out of the ground on one part of our pasture. They suck the air in, heats it up to 55, and then blows it in through the fan. And so they only run when they need to. And there's a thermostat in there that'll kicks everything on and off as you need.
Neat.
And so like our house is run on geothermal. The whole point of that is, well, there's lots of points to it, but the cool thing is they basically, for that, they drill down they find a pocket of air that's 62 degrees. And so that way your house is always 62 degrees. But if you want it to be 70, you turn it up to 70, but then your heater's only working from that 62 rather than from 0. And so it's very cost efficient.
Yeah.
It's good for the planet. So it's pretty interesting. And, we've got trees planted in there now. Wyatt, actually, the guy, he's this, like, he knows a lot about trees. I mean, like, we knew he knew a lot about it, but I stopped into Indian Creek Nursery to grab something, and I had my Block 16 hat on, and she was like, oh, do you know Wyatt? That guy knows everything about trees. He's in here all the time, and he knows. And I'm like, yeah, we bought all of our trees. So we've got a banana tree. We've got a bunch of citrus trees, and it'll grow year-round. Yeah. It's really pretty neat. Fig tree, and
whoa.
Yeah, pretty fun.
Whoa, I was thinking, like, okay, I don't know, lettuces and microgreens and carrots and things like that.
Yeah.
My head did not go to bananas and citrus, that was even capable in, this area.
Right.
That's wild.
The kit that Jessica found for this, it's kind of a bare bones kit, but it's from, I want to say it's like Alliance. It's somewhere in western Nebraska, maybe Alliance.
Okay.
And the name of it is Greenhouse in the Snow, or Citrus in the Snow.
Citrus in the snow?
It's one of those things.
One of those things.
Yeah, but like the guy, if you go, his name's Russ. You go and look at his website. He grows lemons and limes and oranges in like the middle of like winter.
Oh my gosh!
There's 10 feet of snow outside, and so yeah, it's just kind of fun.
Wow, being a fan of a good fresh margarita, that sounds like the most freshest, bestest, more betterest margarita ever. That's
well, it'll be fun, and that's we wanted we're growing stuff that's all native to Nebraska and Iowa, but like the banana and the citrus and stuff, we have those, and those are more for the kids and for aesthetics. Like it's beautiful in there, and like
some bright colors.
Yeah, like Jess's vision is like a smaller version of Lawrence and Gardens, where you can just go in there. Like her and she and my oldest daughter are both. Jess is a fantastic artist, and Evelyn is showing that she's going to be as well. And so I've got some really cool photos of them. They sit out on that pasture in front of the greenhouse and they paint. We've got water across the road from us, and they paint out there and everything. So it's a whole vision, and it's pretty neat. It's been a lot of work, but it's nice.
The Block 16 utopia there. That just, I mean, but truly though, I mean, just that has to be amazing seeing, Jess and your kiddo out there, like, first of all, bonding through art, and then painting the land in front of them that's beautiful enough for that. And Jess is also a very accomplished photographer and a very good food stylist as well, and so she's got that eye for all of those things.
It runs in her family for sure.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a very special place. We're super lucky that we stumbled upon it and we're able to make it happen. So
how long have you been out at the farm now?
It'll be 3 years in August.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it's a long story, but we were just looking for land. We bought a camper because we wanted to be outside more.
Sure.
And then we camped a couple times, and we were like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but you're still like where we went, you still just park your camper next to 30 other campers on concrete. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we were like, man, what if we just could afford like 5 acres somewhere? We can just go park this thing. And in that search, we found this farm, and we were like, man, like, we were really nervous to do it because we're like, well, what if we don't like it? It's a 30-minute drive each way, and and we laugh every day now because we're out there and we're just like, man, especially coming from Block 16, it's busy. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Between that and social media and just like, it's a very busy, crazy life, and it can be a lot. And once you turn onto our final dirt road, we're on about, I think it's like 5 miles of dirt road. And as soon as you hit the rock road, you have no cell phone service and you're just out there. So it's just like you, the coyotes, the bald eagles, and nature. And it is, I almost feel like a deceased family member in heaven blessed us with this, because I don't know if I would have even been alive at this point. It's just such a hypertension life that we lead. And we found this, and it has just been like such a blessing. We just love it.
You've got the greenhouse. The greenhouse is cranking. You're going to be growing things in there. You've got the pigs. I think there's some alpacas hanging out there.
Yeah. We have the alpacas that are really fun. We have 6 goats.
Nice.
4 of them they're fainting goats.
So awesome.
Like,
have you seen them? Have they fainted on you?
Oh, they used to faint all the time. When we first got them, there was actually this really funny, when we first got them, the guy we got them from was like, man, you gotta lock them in their pen for 3 days, and don't let them out, feed them and water them in there, and that way they know this is where they need to be.
Okay.
And we had put them in this like metal, like half moon looking thing, and we had never done this, so we're like, this is weird, like we're keeping them locked in here, but that's what he said to do. So we had our dog who has passed away, but he, on the last day before we were going to let him out, he was kind of wandering around. He had his nose to the ground. He knew something was up, and he went over there, and he went into their pen, and you just heard doo, 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 and they're all passing out, and then they all started peeing, so there was like pee shooting everywhere. It was the craziest thing, and our dog was peeing and running away, and it was just like, it was hilarious. And so we got them, and then we have 2 little like pygmy goats. They're real tiny and they get into everything. But we got those. Dean Dvorak from Plum Creek Farms came out when we first bought the place, and he helped us set up our chicken coop. We've got about 26 chickens.
Oh my gosh.
And some ducks. And when we were out there, he's like, your pastures have a lot of like pigweed in them. He's like, you need some goats. They'll take care of all of that. They're lawnmowers.
Nice.
And so that's why we got them, and that's their whole purpose. And so we don't milk them. We're never going to process them or anything like that. We actually spent 3 months saving the life of one of them he got tangled up in a fence by doing something dumb, and I went out there to feed him one night and I could hear him all like bleating, and I looked out there and he was hanging upside down on the side of this gate.
Oh my gosh.
And his bones were sticking out of his ankle.
Oh my gosh.
I think I ran first back in the house and got a shot of whiskey, and then I ran back out and I helped him down. And it was bad, like the bones were poking out. And so I popped them back into place. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was like, these don't go here. So I popped them back in. And then we started to call veterinarians, like the 24-hour ones. And everyone was like, you're going to have to put them down. The hooved animals can't live on 3 legs. It's because they put too much pressure. It's a whole thing. And we finally found this guy. He's like, you're going to have to try and come up with a splint and then get here at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's like an hour drive. And he's like, I'll take a look at him. Yeah. But at this point, I was already like 4 shots of whiskey deep. So I'm like, now I got to get up at 5 in the morning and bring a goat to this place. And, but I brought him in. I held him down for about an hour and a half while this guy cleaned it all out. We had raided our kid's craft kit and got popsicle sticks and made him a little splint and everything. So we really like put our all into this, and then he cleaned it out, he bandaged it up, and he's like, you got about a 30% chance of it living. And the bad part is you have to keep it dry. If it gets wet, it's over. So it rains all the time. That year it did. And so we're out there with like plastic bags. We don't use plastic bags, so we'd have to go to Baker's and specifically buy a couple things so we'd have plastic bags.
I need a pack of gum and some whiskey and like a bag for each, please.
Yeah, exactly. And we'd have to tie it up, keep it, and then we'd have to give him shots 3 days a week. And so my daughters would go out there and pinch his skin for me, and I'd have to jab a needle in his neck, and we saved him. He's fine. He's annoying and he gets into everything. And so we've got them, we've got all the chickens. And
does the goat have a name?
Yes, out of all the animals in the entire property, which there's like 70.
Yes.
I haven't gotten to name any of them. So I got to name the robot vacuum. That was it. I named him Hawkeye, and that was it. But so I think his name is Sweet Pea.
Okay.
Because everything is named after plants. So there's like fern, Sweet Pea, Sweet Woodruff. There's all these names, but he's Sweet Pea. I know that for sure, but I can't keep the rest of them.
That's fair.
On track.
That's so cool that you're so persistent. Like, listen, we're gonna say I'm gonna keep calling until somebody's gonna help me out. Yeah. And then, wow.
Yeah, we're a solid team, and so now we just got some baby pheasants and some quail, and we back up to this open land that it's like the woman that we bought the house from owns it, and it's like 140 acres, and it's like out of National Geographic. It's gorgeous. It's just pure wildlife. You can go fishing back there. It's gorgeous. And their masked bobwhite quail are somewhat endangered in this area because from what I understand, the turkey population is kind of running them out. Oh. And so we got a couple dozen of these masked quail, and from everything we're just learning as we go. And then we got the pheasants, and we're just raising them, and we're going to release them and just kind of help repopulate. Yeah. So, and what we've learned is like the quail, they say after it's like 6 weeks, you can let them go. And they're tiny. Yeah. But then they have like a 0.04% chance of survival or something ridiculous like that. So we're going to raise them like quite a while. Yeah. Cause there's a lot of coyotes and there's a lot of bobcats out there. So we're going to give them the best shot we can and, just see what we can do. It's a lot of fun. It's just like,
Is like Jess feeding them poutine to get them all like big and hearty?
Yeah.
Being so close to the production of the food, has this affected your cooking or philosophy towards cooking in any way? Or is this more just like wow, I'm just very in touch with these ingredients. I'm curious, how's it affected you as a chef?
I think it's both. We've always been kind of infatuated with knowing where your food comes from.
Yeah.
So seeing it go from seed to finished product, when a lot of times like our little kids they're the ones that planted, you know what I mean? And then it's like, well, guys, like, we're going to serve this. You can try one tomato, but we're going to serve the rest of them. And that way you can kind of see. And it's also helped for me anyways. And I can't speak for Jessica, but I think it's helped us both kind of show a little more restraint when, we do some pretty crazy specials and we like to layer a lot of flavors, but
Sure.
we raise bees. We have like 20,000 bees right now.
Oh, wow.
And the honey is super unique. It's super floral just because of that's what's in our pasture and that's what's around,
Yeah.
and so it's really different. And we're like, man, like you get something cool like that. And we sell it. We're all sold out right now, but we sell it in little jars, but we also use it. And it's like, okay, let's put it on a chicken sandwich and then let's do this slaw and we'll do some pickles and we'll do that. And then it's like, well, wait a minute. Like, at what point are we going to lose the flavor of that honey that, took a lot of work? Those bees are not easy to keep.
Oh, yeah.
And, it's like, so yeah, I think it's kind of helped us like just appreciate simple flavors a little bit more. So
That's awesome. That's beautiful. Well, and to highlight those specific ingredients or those things, because, whether, if there's a block special where it's, an ice cream cone shell with macaroni and cheese stuffed in a burrito, which is obviously, awesome. Or it's just like, maybe it's like, here's a honey taster with a separate bite of chicken and then
Right,
eat
yeah.
these two things or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's beautiful that you get to really connect from each end of the spectrum there
For
from
sure.
start to finish.
yeah.
So-
Yeah, we're loving it.
What other ingredients from the farm so far have made their way to the Block 16 menu? I mean, obviously don't have to list all of them, but like what else is kind of traveling that people are getting to experience the Jess and Paul farm here at the restaurant?
I mean, it's been a lot of produce. We've done pretty well with the garden over the last couple of years. The chives, when the kids don't eat them all, our kids eat chives like they're Skittles or something. They're just like, and you can always tell they get in the car for school and you're like, oh man, did you guys eat chives?
Like, y'all smell like onions.
Yeah. And they're back there like a handful of them. Just like, we're like, okay, we're gonna have to brush our teeth before we go in. But
Mr. Urban, the kids are bringing chives in their backpack again.
Yeah, exactly.
Bookmarks and yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, that and the honey, and we've got we have like a little sales case now in Block 16 where we'll have like farm eggs and we'll have
Nice.
eventually hopefully some flowers. Jess wants to grow and cut flowers, and so does Ben and Ashley Maids are starting a flower program, so we'll be able
cool.
to sell some of their stuff. So been a little bit of everything. We have brought a couple of chickens in that one of them attacked my daughter, so we did serve that at Block 16. But we're really
revenge
not
sandwich.
Yeah. It was for safety, but yeah, we really didn't go into it with like, I don't think either of us has the desire to consistently raise animals we're just not that type of people.
Sure.
So, someone's got to do it, but we're happy to process the pigs at some point in time.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I think we're kind of more of a no-kill type of place.
Sure.
Like we
Focusing on
we
the
love
produce
to see,
more.
like, we have these Copper Marin chickens that we got Evelyn for her 4th birthday. They're going to be 3 years old here pretty soon, which is a long time for a chicken.
Yeah.
So their eggs are like the size of ostrich eggs right now, and and they don't produce them quite as often, but it's like, they're going to stay there forever, and they're going to live a cool life, a great life, and a long life, and longer than most chickens. And I don't know, it feels good. It really, and it's honestly just feels good seeing them around. You pull in, and there's like, oh, go to the right, got to go around the chickens, and it's just fun. It's fun.
Yeah, the vibrant and life and the diversity of creatures that are living there too, and especially
Right.
like with the bees, there's been situations with, and in fact I saw something with the hive this last week or week before that there was a disease or something running through, and this beekeeper had to expunge his own hive, and I'm
Right.
sure that's gotta hurt. But you raising bees and things, helping the pollination process and those
Right.
things in general, and just getting to know these creatures and how they live and producing these things is awesome. That has to be, you having, being a chef and being creative through food, and this is another method, I'm guessing, to kind of have your mind be able to exercise that creativity and learn and bring these things in. That's super cool.
Yeah, it's been a huge blessing. It's something we're like, man, I wish we could have done this 10 years ago. We're both over 40 now, and we're like, but we couldn't have done it 10 years ago. We couldn't have swung it. So it was all for the kids. It really was, and it still is. I mean, our kids eat great. I mean, they're eating clean. Right now they're not watching TV. We have one TV somewhere in the house, but they're outside with carrying a chicken. I can guarantee you right now, I can check our security camera and they're probably carrying chickens around, or, like the barn cat. But yeah, then it was just like, once we were out there, we're like, this is awesome. And then we're like, well, gosh, we could like have chickens for Block 16. We could grow some stuff, we're here. We can do all this. And so it was like such a cherry on top.
Where our block and the farm and what's coming up and happening next that you kind of have in mind, or is it just like, hey, we need to continue what we're doing because we're doing a lot?
Yeah. Well, it's both. I mean, we do have some stuff coming up. We're teaming up with Food for Hunters. Another one. Jess found them on Instagram, and they just do all foraged, hunted, I don't think they trap, but hunted, fished, local food. And
cool.
The stuff they do is crazy. I mean, and they don't do pop-ups. They're not a restaurant. They're a couple, but they love to make food, and it's beautiful. And so she contacted him and was like, hey, why don't you guys do a pop-up here? And so they're doing it, and that's coming up in a few weeks. And we're looking forward to that for sure. We've got another pop-up in the works where it's ridiculous, but it's going to be awesome. So, and it's not, we don't have a date set or anything, but I don't know if you remember, or if you were around when we did the taco makase.
No.
Okay. So this was cool. This was another one I was really proud of. We had these guys make us these boards. They were like 3 feet long, and they had like beveled out these little like the divots in these boards. Yeah. And then it was 18 courses from 18 chefs in Omaha, all tacos. So
nice.
Like David Utterback did like a baby squid taco, and Ben Maids did something. It was like we had all like literally the best chefs, and you got 18 tacos, miniature tacos. Well, we still have those boards.
Oh yeah.
And we've never used them since. So I was like, man, like I want to do something where it's all really legit on those boards. So you'll come in, and I picture someone with like really good mezcal walking around pouring drinks for people. These boards are around, there's tostadas, there's, tacos, there's all this really like legit good stuff. But then in the supper club, I want to get a kiddie pool, and I want to set the Guinness Book of World Records for the largest 7-layer bean dip. Right? So we've looked into it, and we have all the numbers, and we've contacted Guinness. So it's going to happen. And so that way, like, not only do you come and you get really good food and you can eat the bean dip, but you're also a part of history.
That's
right?
beautiful.
Yeah. So that's it.
Please keep me posted on this.
It'll be coming, man. Well, it has to happen. You know what I mean? It's one of those things like, if you have an idea and you're laughing by the end of it, or by the time you're talking about it, it's got to happen. So it'll happen.
That's good advice for life.
And,
and you guys are always just doing fun stuff. And
thanks.
And what I love too is, I mean, with all these accomplishments we talked about earlier, James Beard nominee and all these things, somehow you guys always have the balance between like excellence in food, excellence in being a chef, yet you're always down to earth, part of the community, having fun, and just your kind of general life ethos is just fun to be a part of, in the food community in Omaha, and everybody that travels through Omaha and stops through.
Thank you so much. That's so nice to say.
Crush it.
Thank you. That means a lot. It really does.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Paul Urban, thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
Talking Block 16 and everything else with me. And if folks aren't following you out there already, just being on Twitter or any of this, Instagram, Facebook, to catch the 10 a.m. special is always a good thing. Your menu is approachable, fun. You do everything from, a loaded French fry to take and bake lobster tail. I mean, just,
Right.
whatever strikes your fancy. And I love it. So
Thank you so much. It means a lot. And thanks for having me. This was awesome.
For sure, for sure. Oh, I have to thank you for one last thing.
Okay.
On our last episode, we had talked about that you are a fan of the Don and Millie's Double Don or cheeseburger, if I recall.
Double cheeseburger.
Double
yeah, not the
cheeseburger.
Double Don, yeah.
There you go. I happen to have had one within the last few days, and I always think of that conversation. So just remember that James Beard nominee, Paul Urban of Block 16, says it's okay every once in a while to have that fast food burger because it's delicious. It's
100% it is. I think they still do like a free cookie in the afternoon too.
Ooh.
I'm a diabetic, so I don't ever get it. But I think
fair
I
enough.
would, yeah.
You could donate that cookie to someone in
Yes,
need.
yes,
Give
exactly,
it.
yeah.
Fantastic. Well, again, Paul, thank you so much. And I know Jess couldn't be here today, but
Yeah.
my best to her and the family.
Thank you.
And I truly appreciate you guys. You've let me into your house, that being Block 16. We've had some great conversations. I appreciate it so much.
well, thank you so much for all the support. We love it.
Absolutely. And we'll sign it off there on Saturday Omaha. This is Dave Zorko with Paul Urban of Block 16. Go check him out. And probably already know. If you don't, go see him. And we'll say until we eat again, stay hungry. Bye.
Our show is recorded and produced by Saturday Omaha. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, as well as email SaturdayOmaha@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and stay hungry.
Saturday Omaha.
Eat this.